too much, got the sickness. Pray to God and His Son for forgiveness.
Hey guys, it's Rose. So here our first of hopefully many Concert Chronicles segment. So we've been to a couple K-pop concerts obviously, but we have a few others that I'll probably release. Hopefully you guys enjoy. I'll try to keep this as concise and straight to the point as possible. But it's KARD and I have a lot of footage. So we were headed to the concert and the whole day it was pouring. It was raining that entire day, of course, even though that week it was totally fine. Timestamps will be provided in the description and it'll be pinned. I'll pin a comment. But let's get started, shall we? Warning though, this does have a lot of strobing and flashing lights, so heads up for anyone who is triggered by that. I know I was, and I didn't realize how much strobing and flashing there would be, but I tried to stabilize the concert clips and kind of tone down the lighting as much as I could through the editing process, but I can only do so much, guys, so sorry about that. A few points of things to note. So the venue being small is not a problem. In fact, I prefer it that way. I prefer seeing most bands, especially K-pop bands, before they get big, like BTS, because it gets too crazy, too big, very impersonal. You can't even really see them. You're just watching the screen, which at that point you might as well just be watching a really good HD fan cam that everyone has now. So for me, I don't think it's not worth it for me just because the experience isn't as intimate. Now, because it was a smaller venue, I really enjoyed that, and that's actually not my point of criticism for this particular venue, was because it's just not an ideal place to lounge and wait around prior to the concert. And because I was coming in from out of town, it just wasn't convenient because they won't let you in before, since it's small and there's not much of a lobby, along with the fact that the surrounding area had smaller food and bar venues. It wasn't just an ideal place to sit down and wait for the doors to open, which was way later in the evening, and there was no place to grab coffee and just sit down and just chill. And since it was raining that day, that made it worse, and they made people wait in the rain since it was first come first serve, even though you get your wristbands with a number on it, and it makes no sense to get there early to get a wristband with a good number and still have to wait in line to get a good spot in the general admission standing area. Now, thankfully, I didn't have to deal with that as much, but it's something to keep in mind. But also, I also wish there was more merchandise on sale. So there were KARD lanyards and KARD posters, and each of those were $10 each, which was great and very affordable. So no complaints on that from my end. KARD hinted at potentially more in the future, as they started throwing KARD t-shirts to the audience during the concert, and that was great, something to look forward to for future concerts for KARD, I feel like. But I didn't get it at all because I was too far in the back and up in the lower balcony, so it was never gonna reach me, and that's fine. But I just wish they actually sold that so I could have gotten my hands on it, since I was so far back and there were no light sticks available for people that wanted it. I don't even know if KARD has light sticks, but it would have been nice to have even a basic light stick, because I wasn't gonna carry that with me. Light sticks nowadays are too huge and too big, so. But it was understandable, and it's fine because this is their first USA tour, and also because they still are starting to gain a larger following now. They're not as big as other established groups here stateside. They did at least have a spot with 2 large boxes for people who had fan gifts and letters that they wanted to give to KARD before the concert, and that was a nice touch. Personally, I don't ever give fan gifts to any groups because more often than not they just have so many that they're never probably gonna actually get to use it, and they'll most likely pass it on or donate it, or sometimes they'll throw it away, which sucks, but you'll never know if it actually gets to them, and I just rather not go crazy ham and spend additional on top of everything else I'm spending and to just go see them and experience that. I did do a letter and I dropped that in the box, so who knows if they ever read it, but it was nice to have that. there because they didn't want people to just be like, if they did have events with KARD, they didn't want them to just be like stuffing them with envelopes, which makes sense. So I can only speak on that.
아침이나 밝기 전에 시계를 안 바뀌어 가만히 갇혀 운전한다면 밝혀 이 고제와 결핍 우리 없이의 갈기 고락까지 갈지 내 몸을 비감든 숨조차 버는 내 방구를 모두 반지 죽어있는 내 사고 신비하는 걸알수 있는데 자꾸만 날 밀어내 다른 게 싫은데 everybody, we go by the name of KARD. Hello everyone, this is J.seph. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for having us here. I love the name of Jiwoo. Let's go. 그리고 여러분들과 저희의 소통을 책임져 주실 저희 소통 통역 선생님 제니를 소개하겠습니다. 우리 first time in 필라델피아잖아요. 처음 왔는데 많은 분들께서 저희 반겨주시니까 저희 기분이 너무 좋고요.
This is our first time, but we have such a warm welcome, so I feel really great right now.
저희 오랫동안 기다려주신 만큼 멋진 공연이 있으니까 여러분들.
저희 대기실에서 준비하는데 스태프분들 그런데 저희도 와 오늘 공연 대박이다 이렇게 공연 잘해서 너무 영광해 주시더라고요.
So we were in our dressing room getting ready, but we heard you guys screaming, and we were like getting so excited for tonight.
너무 좋아요 여러분 지금.
I'm really happy.
오늘 재밌게 놀러와요 알겠지?
So let's have fun tonight.
필라델피아 팬분들 오늘 처음 뵙는 날이어서 진짜 기대 많이 하고 왔거든요.
Hi Philly, it's nice to be here.
오늘 진짜 즐겨주실 수 있죠?
Are you guys ready to have fun?
Can I get it? Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Let's get into it. Let's get straight into it. 얼마 전에 널 봤다고 넌 행복해 보였었다고 힘이 빠지더라 아닌가 후회를 받나봐 그래서 이제 어렵는지 절대 그럴 리가 없는데 떨어지길 바라봐 친구라고 또 같겠지 절대 그럴 리가 없는데
내 눈을 바라보며 여러분 아직 시작이 불가한데
We haven't even gotten started yet.
재밌게 즐기고 계세요?
Are you guys having fun?
와 진짜 필라델피아를 왜 이제서야 왔죠?
I can't believe this is our first time in Philly.
와 진짜 여러분들 이렇게 호응 이렇게 많이 해주시니까 진짜 감동받았어요.
So touched by their cheers tonight.
저희가 둘만 남은 이유가 있어요.
So there's a reason why there's just us two on stage right now.
이번 투어에 오랜만에 정말 남남여여 유닛으로 준비를 했거든요.
So especially for this tour, we have prepared a guy, girl unit stage.
이번에 오빠들 무대인데요. 오빠들이 이번에 할 곡은 BM 오빠가 직접 작곡한 곡이에요.
So for the guy unit stage, it's a song that BM actually wrote.
때 지금까지 투어를 쭉 가봤는데 너무 멋있어요.
So I got a peek during rehearsal and it was so cool.
여러분들이 처음 들으시는 노래지만 같이 부르고 따라서 즐길 수 있을 만큼 굉장히 신나는 곡이거든요.
So it's the first time I get to see it live, but I'm sure everyone will be able to have fun and sing along.
충분히 신나게 노래했으면 좋겠습니다.
So have fun, get lit.
이번에 덤리티도 나왔잖아요, 여러분.
So we just released Litty, right?
BM 오빠가 진짜 작곡을 엄청 열심히 하고 있어요.
BM really worked hard to write that song and so much more.
덤리티 다음으로 또 기대할 만한 곡이 나오지 않을까 싶은데요.
So I'm thinking that you guys can look forward to what we have next.
여러분들도 그렇게 생각하시죠?
You guys think so too?
BM 오빠한테 힘을 많이 주세요.
So be sure to support and cheer BM on.
저희가 이제 팬이 어제 도착했는데요.
So we came to Philly last night.
어제 도착해서 잠깐 나가고 오늘도 아침에 공연장 오기 전에 잠깐 둘러봤어요, 호텔을.
So we got to look around the city last night and also as well this morning.
근데 내 스타일인 것 같아, 좀.
I think Philly is my style.
너무 좋았어요. 오늘 이렇게 이 공연장을 이렇게 여러분들이 가는 걸 이렇게 보실 때.
I love it. From the city to the vibe tonight, everything is great.
저는 뭔가 미국에서 살고 싶다는 생각을 안 해봤는데 지금까지요.
Let me get all the sexy ladies of Philly on the left. That's all we get now, ready? 1, 2, 3. say 지금만 나가자고 다른 차원에서 떠올려 Everybody clap one time 다시 시간이 돌아올 때 Bring it on, shawty, work that thing 춤을 싶은 대로 땀내 적셔가는 채로 Now love in this club, love in this club So we can go Everybody 오늘은 낮지 모든 날새 Y'all say bang, beat it, make it, beat it, make it, beat it, make it bang. Allow me to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Leo. I'm one from the KARD. For those of you who don't know what song that was, oh yeah, aka what?
The greatest work song ever!
I'm working with KARD and I'm a part-time SoundCloud rapper. So, for those of you guys who don't know my SoundCloud, it's at BIGMATTHEWW. That's all right. Hey man, Philly, you guys are crazy out here, bro. The energy is insane. So I heard Philly hasn't had too many K-pop shows. Is that true? Whose first K-pop show is this tonight?
can't have you. I can't write my song that's not about you. Can't make me love me if I can't have you. I can't write my song that's not about you. Can't make me love thinking about you. Is it too late to tell you that everything is nothing if I can't have you? I can't write my song that's not about you. Can't live without thinking about you. Is it too late to tell you that everything is nothing if I can't have you? 저희의 진심을 담아 편지를 써봤는데요. 지금 그 편지를
정말 쑥스럽고 부끄럽지만 조금 진심을 다해서 양국을 처음 우유 태영 씨.
기대돼. 아, 근데 너무 잘 썼어.
연기하지 말고 목소리 깔지 말지 감독님.
안녕하세요. 진심의 여러분, 우선 다음을 위한 카드의 컴백을 축하드립니다. 그리고 자리를 빛내주시어 또 시청을 통해 저희 카드의 컴백을 응원해 주시어 이 시간을 값질 수 있게 해주심에 감사의 말씀을 드리고자 합니다. 여러분들의 기대에 부응하고자 이 한국의 애정을 담고 진심 어린 땀을 흘렸기에 지금 이 순간이 무척이나 긴장이 되는 게 사실인데요. 그대들의 눈에 예쁘게 보여놓은 우리네 마음 어여쁘게 봐주시오. 늘 말씀드리듯이 여러분들은 J.sep의 원동력입니다. 지치고 있을 때 자존감이 낮아지며 팬분들의 얼굴에 허공에 대고 그리고 하는데요. 그리고는 그 순간 느끼죠. 누군가에게 내가 최고가 될 수 있다는 사실을 말이죠. 아무것도 아닌 제게 감기에 대한 사랑을 보여주시고 계시기에 나부터 나를 가꾸고 나를 더 사랑하는 게 여러분들의 기대와 관심 그리고 큰 사랑에 누가 되지 않을 일이라고 믿습니다. 카드의 앞날은 여러분들과 저희가 정해가는 게 없죠. 동행해주시는 우리 벗이자 오랜 친구 같은 히든카드 여러분들의 삶을 축복하고 응원합니다. 많이 사랑하고 미안합니다. 저기까지 버스를 태워드릴게요. 저까지 버스를 태워드릴게요. 진짜면 험난한 여정 조금만 더 우리 다 같이 고생하자고요. 감사합니다. J.seph.
처음으로 편지를
안녕하세요. 왜 없어?
안녕하세요. 처음으로 편지를 쓰네요. 제가 느끼는 감정을 말로 잘 표현하지 못하지만 한번 노력해볼게요. 오나나가 나왔을 때만 해도 데뷔를 해서 설레거나 기쁘거나 두렵거나 하지 않았습니다. 점점 한 분 한 분씩 저희를 좋아해주시는 팬분들이 생기면서부터 그제서야 실감이 나면서 행복해지기 시작했어요. 스케줄 현장에서 처음으로 팬분을 보고 내 사진이 영상이 찍혀 올라오고 왜 나를 보러 귀한 시간 내주셔서 오셨을까 하고 정말 믿을 수 없을 만큼 그 순간순간이 감사하고 신기했습니다. 저희를 보러 시간을 내주시고 더운 날, 추운 날, 비 내리는 날, 더운 날 모든 날 기다려주시고 먼 발걸음 해주시기 때문에 내가 허투루 하면 절대 안 되겠다. 더욱더 연구하고 발전해야겠다는 책임감을 얻게 되었습니다. 지금도 우리 히든카드 보면 너무 신기하고 한마디라도 더 나누고 싶고 팬분들 얘기도 듣고 싶고 이젠 제가 더 궁금하더라고요.
맞아요.
공연장에서의 그 뜨거운 함성 소리 바라보는 그 순수하면서도 가득 찬 눈빛 저희의 원동력이 되었습니다. 제가 쓸모있는 사람으로 만들어주셔서 있는 사람으로 만들어주셔서 행복한 사람으로 만들어주셔서 항상 감사드립니다. 저희의 행복은 히든카드로부터 시작된다는 걸 알게 알게 되었습니다. 제 마음을 표현할 방법이 감사하는 말밖에 없어서 답답하네요. 말을 좀 더 잘하는 법을 배워야겠다고 생각했습니다. 항상 감사하고 사랑합니다. 다들 감사합니다.
사랑하는 전 세계 히든 카드분들께 사랑하는 우리 전 세계 히든 카드들 안녕하세요, 소민이에요. 모두 건강하시고 아무 일 없이 지내고 계시죠? 저도 항상 히든 카드들을 생각하면서 건강도 잘 챙기고 연습 열심히 하면서 지내고 있어요. 완벽한 사람은 이 세상에 없지만 완벽한 사람에 가까워지려고 노력 중이에요. 제가 완벽한 사람에 가까워지려고 노력 중인 와중에 그럴 수 있도록 여러분들이 전해주시는 응원 덕분에 희망이 보여요. 매번 말하는 거이지만 매번 얘기하고 싶은 말은 정말 모두 열정적인 에너지와 예쁜 마음으로 메시지를 전해주셔서 힘을 얻어요. 우리는 몸은 떨어져 있지만 마음으로는 하나라는 걸 느껴요. 제가 살면서 이런 행복은 또 언제 느껴보겠어요. 카드의 전투민으로서 여러분들을 만난 건 정말 행운이에요. 저의 예쁜 20대를 함께 해주셔서 감사합니다. 제가 늙고 안 예쁘고 끝까지 함께 해주실 거죠?
네.
이 편지를 통해서 저의 마음이 다 전해질지는 모르겠지만 그냥 진심으로 감사하다는 말이에요. 글 솜씨가 좋지 않아서 무슨 말을 써야 할지 모르겠지만 든든하게 뒤에서 지켜주셔서 감사합니다. 우리 히든카드라는 카드가 있어서 저희는 아무도 보낼 수 없습니다. 행복을 주신 여러분들의 그 마음 잊지 않고 열심히 살아가겠습니다. 좋은 노래 뽀뽀로 앞으로도 기대 많이 해주세요. 사랑합니다, 여러분.
다시 갈게요.
네, 진지하게.
사랑하는 히든컷. 안녕하세요, BM입니다. 잘 지내나요? 잘 챙겨주나요? 일단 이 말부터 시작하겠습니다. 저희 보면서 희열, 행복, 즐거움을 느끼고 히든컷 분들의 하루에 좋은 영향을 드릴 수 있게 할 수 있는 게 정말 영광입니다. 영광이고 이걸 또 되돌려 표현을 해주셔서 정말 감사합니다. 내가 쓴 건데 왜 이렇게 나도 잠깐만요, 진지하게 하려고 하는데 아티스트로서 목표가 누군가의 관심을 가져주시고 누군가가 저희한테 관심을 가져주시고 함께 저희가 다시 할게요. 잠깐만, 여기 좀 딥하다고. 아티스트로서 목표가 누군가가 관심을 가져주시고 함께 저희가 창작한 걸 즐겨주시는 게 목표인데 그 목표를 이루어지게 해주시는 게 팬분들이라고 생각합니다. 늘 기다림 때문에 고생시켜서 가면 갈수록 곡을 더 신중하게 고르게 되고 더 많은 고민 걱정을 하게 돼서 팬분들이 더욱더 고생하게 되는 것 같아서 더 마음이 아플 때가 많습니다. 그래도 이 방송에서 기다림과 그 마음 고생을 보답하는 의미로 좀 더 강렬하고 자극적인 퍼포먼스로 신나게 돌아오려고 합니다. 이번에도 전에처럼 저희를 보면서 좋은 에너지와 좋은 느낌
힘을 받았으면 좋겠습니다. 꼭 행복하게 꼭 힘든 하루가 되시도록 이번만은 아니고 앞으로 계속 열심히 해서 준비하겠습니다. 늘 죄송하고 늘 사랑합니다. Love BM.
Thank you.
몰랐는데 이런 기회 하게 돼서 정말 정말 기뻐요.
I'm really glad that we finally got to perform Taki Taki because we spent a lot of time performing.
근데 오늘 되게 기분 좋은 날인 거 아세요?
But you know, today is a really special day, right?
우리 오늘 왜 기분 좋은 날이에요?
Why is it a special day?
이 기분 좋은 날에 우리가 어떻게 해야 될까요?
And what should we do on this special day?
그러면 우리 같이 불러볼까요?
Should we sing together?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Liam. Happy birthday to you.
Alright,
소원, 소원, 소원.
한번 해보고
Make a
싶어요.
wish, make a wish.
Thank you so much, guys.
Even Liam's cake is huge.
This is a gift, honestly, this is a gift. I love you guys so much for this. Thank you so much for wishing me happy birthday. Yeah? I'm glad you said that though, because I have more for you. So what's a show without free merchandise? These are brand new stadium plans.
Well, they're lucky they exist in a
We can't just throw it out to you guys. We gotta have a little fun, make this a little competition. So check this out. I've been doing this in every city. This is what we're gonna do. You here? Oh, you made the cake? Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Is it also your birthday? You have a happy birthday thing. Oh, is that for me? Beautiful woman who made the cake. From you straight back, this is the middle. So you're gonna have to choose a side. You're either on the left side or you're on the right side. You can do it. You're on this side? Okay, you're on the right side. So check this out. This is how it's gonna go. From you straight back, right here. You got the right side. You guys want some pants, right? Alright, that's the right side. And boom, you guys are the east side. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to reach it to you guys. I'll try. Hey, so this is how it's gonna go, okay? So when I say there's a... Oh, we try that again. When I say there's a West Side party up in here, up in here, up in here. There's a West Side party up in here, up in here, up in here. Woo! I don't know, the party in the West Side seems pretty crazy. Alright. Let's see. There's an East Side party up in here. There's an East Side party up in here. 부러워 완전히 부러워 부담스러워
한마디 말해줘 난 지친다고
기다릴게 너는 벌써 죽었네
나 혼자
엉덩이를 쳐서 숨길 수 없어 절대게 미디어스 널 믿어 부족해 말로 표현을 기대 없이 내가 사랑이 그리게 너 오늘 내게 고마워 너의 여기가 누구로 가마 너의 like a stop to my heart 말하지 않아
Safe and comfortable trip home. Bye.
저희가 비 오면 그냥 길가 걸어오는 것들 맞추려고 스킵하고 불편한데
Honestly, I really hate going outside and walking around when it's rainy and wet.
저희 공연도 계속 밖에서 기다려주시고 솔직히 막 불편한데도 설레는 그 마음, 예쁜 마음 하나로 기다려주셔서 너무 감사합니다.
So thank you all for coming and waiting when it was miserable and for preserving this.
공연도 이렇게 멋지게 공연을 즐겨주셔서 너무 감사해요.
And thank you so much for having fun throughout the whole show.
오늘 정말 뜨겁게 잘 제대로 모신 것 같아서 저희도 너무 좋은 추억이 됐습니다.
And it was so hot that I had so much fun and it will stay in my memories.
오늘 공연장 관객분들한테도 너무 감사드리고 저희 무대를 항상 멋지게 만들어주시고 선팔처한테도 너무 감사드립니다.
So I want to thank all the venue staff and for Subculture for allowing this fabulous show to.
같이 즐기고서 해서 이렇게 멋있는 곡이 나온 것 같아요.
I think we all had fun together, so it was a great night tonight.
우리 다음에 또 만나야 되잖아요. 이렇게 재밌는데.
So because we had so much fun, we need to meet again in the future, right? First thing I think of when I think of Philadelphia is the cream cheese.
근데 오늘부터 바뀐 것 같아요. 이제 필라델피아 생각하면 팬분들이 먼저 생각날 것 같아요.
But it changed tonight. Now I'm gonna think of you guys when I think of Philadelphia.
정말 이번 투어를 통해서 필라델피아 오기를 정말 잘한 것 같고요.
And I think that we did really well coming to Philadelphia as part of our tour.
날씨가 좋지 않은데도 불구하고 이렇게 찾아와 주셔서 감사합니다.
And thank you so much for coming out, even though the weather was,
끝까지 여러분은 즐겨주실 거죠?
So we'll have fun until the end, right?
오늘 정말 감사했고요. 정말 사랑합니다. 감사합니다.
So thank you so much again, and I love you all.
I'm not gonna lie, you guys do like really good cream cheese. I eat it in California. I don't eat California cream cheese, I swear. No, but... huh? The bagels? New York bagels? Okay. The bagels in New York were good, but... have you tried the Philly cheesesteak out here? I had some earlier on a full stomach, and I think I could have had another one after that. It was so good. I'm gonna say it 2 times. We go what? We go dumb! When I say it the 3rd time, we're gonna say dumb 5 times. So how it goes, we go what? We go dumb! It's easy, right? So we're gonna try it. We go what? We go down. 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 When we get into the last song of the night, we just take it 너의 밤이 시원하게 널 반겨줄 like someone way Don't be afraid I'll be born for you to go We're gonna turn this memory right now into a picture. Let's go.
I want to speak on the P2 tier and event experience. So again, I can only speak for the P2 tier and a photo event post concert, and I can't really speak for P1, which is like the people who had the fan signing. I don't know the exact details of that, but I feel like they had way more time than we did, and that was before concert, and I'm pretty sure P1 included rehearsal viewing, so you got to go in there crazy early and see them rehearse before the concert. So I think that was the major additional benefit. I don't know if they actually got to like do a fan sign, but it did say fan sign. But so I can only speak for the P2 tier event, which was reasonable for a K-pop concert. And I've been to a few, and I've been to ones with like big name ones, EXO, Big Bang, just to name a few, and those prices were insane. I mean, I love Big Bang, don't get me wrong, but they were $800, and no, I mean, I'm not paying that. So this one's really affordable. This was 140. I'm just trying to give you the most concise and accurate information. It was 141 actually. And the only difference between that one and the lowest tier, which was the high touch event, which is 108. So you paid roughly $30 more and you got the photo op. So I was like, we're gonna splurge the 30 extra bucks while it's still within reasonable range. Because honestly, K-pop concerts are always ticketed a lot and priced so much higher than obviously nationwide or stateside concerts from local national bands. So it makes all the sense in the world, but it doesn't make it any easier to fork over that cash. So this one we did splurge. Me and Mel splurged the $30 so that we could get the photo event, and that I feel like was a lot worth it because it was something that was like a souvenir that I could, keep forever and actually take a picture with them. So that was, I think, the best tier and price point and event to get, because I was talking to this girl in line when we were waiting for the photo op. with KARD after the concert, and she said that she had done a bunch of high touch events with other bands, and that for the most part it's like a quick hey, how are you, and high five, and then they just push you along. So it's barely an interaction, but you'll at least get to like say hey, see them in person, and actually give them, I guess make physical contact, which is a high five. And that's all well and good, but the experience will be too quick. Like she said, it was so quick, she barely had it in her head, like it was just so fast. So I think this was worth it, because you actually get to like bring something that will stay in memory for you regardless. So the venue was small, but surprisingly they were able to make the photo event organized considering the limitations. Still, it was so quick. So because of my disability, I had the luxury of being closer to the first group of the photo op, because it was just, the line was crazy long and I just can't stand for that long, so that was nice. And then they did have us seated and lined up with the KARD concert background set up before KARD came, and I have the photo. The one photo I was able to sneak in before the big like guard guy came and threatened to like grab or take my camera or phone from me. So that's the photo you're seeing up on your screen right now, and I mosaicked everyone's faces and pixelated it so that no one's identity is compromised. But yeah, the guy that's coming at me with like the head kind of just blurred out, so it looks like he's headless, but that was a guard, and I mean he was like chill about it, but he was like no pictures before, but I was able to snag it before. They were like no pictures. So the person that was sitting in the seat that I blurred out, she was just part of the staff, and she was just doing a photo test before the first group, which was us, the first 10 people would be seated there. So we actually got seated before KARD came out, and they did a couple test shots with us, which I kind of wish I was able to even keep that, but we're only gonna get with the one photo with KARD that we took, which by the way, I still haven't gotten that, so hopefully we get that soon, because it's been way more than 2 weeks, and we were supposed to get it 2 weeks after the concert. Anyways, let's see, what was my other thing? Oh yeah, and so as you can see the KARD, wild KARD photo background that we took, and it's 10 fans per photo in the group, and so they had us number off, and then they were like, okay, go ahead, and they're like, once you sit down, KARD's gonna come out, and then they're gonna take a picture, and then you gotta bust your ass out of there because we gotta keep this moving, because the line literally wrapped around, as you can see, from the bottom to the balcony, where I was sitting at during the concert, and it wrapped around towards the bar. So that is that. And they came for, I will animate it, and from the corner, the right corner where the arrow is, and they literally came in looking all godly and goddess-like, and they were obviously like freaking tired, but I mean, picture with KARD, they were still looking amazing after a 2-hour event, which 2-hour concert, which actually is like a 6-hour event since they had rehearsals and stuff like that. So but I was just glad we were the first group, because I mean, we got them all doe-eyed and bushy-tailed before they really got like burned out towards the end of the group. So we did do the picture, and I was smack in the middle. I was so excited, and Mel was like 2 seats away from me, but that's okay. Regardless, though, it was the quickest experience. And so when they first came out, it was like Jiwoo, Somin, and then J.seph and BM, and then they came out, and then Jiwoo and Somin ended up being in the middle, and then J.seph was on the right side of the photo, but left behind me, and then BM was on the other side, and they were literally coming in, smiles, and with the idol smile and everything, and they were being very generous. They were like, hey everyone, and surprisingly J.seph was the most interactive. Like when I saw everyone, I was like, hey, oh my god, hi. And then J.seph came, and I like turned around, and I looked at J.seph smack there, because he so happened to be the first face I saw, and I was like, hey J.seph, and he was like, hey, and he smiled very nicely, and he was very confident in his English, which was kind of funny, because you'd think it would be BM, who's like the chatterbox, but J.seph was very generous in that regard. And Somin and Jiwoo were actually way more chill and so much like, they were so chill, and I guess they were too cool for school kind of vibe. They were like so cool and kind of cold, but not cold in a like, oh, we don't give a shit, we just want this to be over kind of thing, which they probably were, but they were more just like, we're just cool badass girls, like hey, what's up, but also yeah, we're bad, we know it, that kind of thing. They were super chill, a little less interactive than J.seph and BM, which actually lines up with how they are portrayed in most interviews, I think. And then I saw BM and I told him, hey, and then we took a photo, and they were like, hey, photo, everyone look here, and then they took like 1 or 2 shots, and then they like started to scoot us out, and that was it. But I did manage to turn around, and before I left my butt, I was like, before I moved my ass out of there, I was really just like, Bam, I love you. And I said, I love the song, like Dumb Litty is the song I was trying to refer to. Hopefully he understood, but I'm sure he knew. I was trying to say it like you were a good producer, but I don't even think I did that. I spaced out, and then they had us push through, and they pushed us through like right out the door. They were like, you can't stay in the lounge, you gotta go outside because there's just no space and we gotta keep it moving. So, and that was the experience. So that was probably really boring for you guys, but it was nice, and we'll decide, I'll like decide how much it was worth it once I actually get my hands on the photo. So I can't share that with you guys, sorry, because I still have the photo from the photo op from the photo event with KARD. Actually, we were supposed to get it like 2 weeks after, and it's been more than that for sure. So I wish I could have shared that with you, and I would have like blurred everyone out, and maybe you guys could have seen a face to a name or to the voice, but unfortunately I still don't have the picture, so I'm a little not irked, but I am kind of like, where the F is it? So that it's kind of, they said it was going to be like on the photo, it was going to be on the website, but I haven't seen shit, so like, where the hell is it? Where's my photo? But yeah, that was the experience. I think it's worth it. Once I can get my hands on the photo, I think it'll be worth it. It'll be, and honestly, this was my first personal experience at like an event for a K group, and honestly, this is my first like meeting a celebrity up close in person, like within a foot from them, like right next to them. I've gone to Kpop concerts with Mel and by myself, and I've never done any of the after concert events just because honestly they're so pricey. I get priced out of them, and so that's, first of all, that's again why I like seeing smaller groups when they're smaller, when they're not as well known, before they get it big, because you just get more of an experience with them at a way more affordable price. So I got to do that with KARD, and that's all I wanted. That's why we went. But yeah, this is my first actual event, which is so funny because I've been to a handful, like a good amount of concerts. So this will not be the last video of Concert Chronicles for sure. I'm going to release the other older concerts that I think you guys would enjoy, because I never get tired of watching people's fan cam or concert experiences, because it's always different and everyone's perspective is also different, from different angles, from different things of note. They catch different moments in between the songs with the group interaction, the member interaction, and the fan interaction. So it's always different. No concert experience is the same. So everyone's experience is individual. Even with me and Mel, how we experience concerts are completely different, and I think that's, you know, the great thing about it. Now, I feel like social media, that's a good thing about social media. That's like one of the pros. The darker side of social media is that like everyone is having their camera, and some people had like big pro cameras. And I mean, if you want to take a video of the whole experience in like super HD 4K, like you know, production level, that's fine, but unfortunately that requires you to have a big ass, just huge setup, and that doesn't only inconvenience you and it removes you from the experience, it also is inconveniencing people that are next to you, and more specifically behind you. So that's the only reason I get peeved about that, is because I mean, I record my concert experiences and the concert on my basic Samsung phone. Like, I'm not trying to, like, all the video clips you see I do on my phone, and I think they look pretty good. I mean, they're shaky, but that has nothing to do with the camera. That's all me. So sorry, but that's not gonna hinder someone's viewing of this concert, because they can still see past it, or like around it, or close up to it. Like, they're not gonna get, the view's not gonna be obstructed, is basically what I'm saying. As opposed to someone who has a pro camera setup and it's just like a huge setup, and that's happened to me so many times, and it's really irritating. And I know you paid for your experience, but so did I, and honestly, let's just have fun. Like, I still remember the time, and I'm old enough that no one has a smartphone. Everyone had a basic a big ass camera, but even then it was few and far between. Not everyone had access to it, and not everyone would use it at a concert, and most people would just be sitting and enjoying the experience. You can still do that now, technically, it's just a lot harder. But yeah, this was my first experience to a K-pop photo event, or a K-pop event, not just photo, but K-pop event. And I think personally, you have to pick and choose your battles. Most of the time it's not worth it. And I'm so glad I talked to the girls in the line with me, and they shared their experience about high touch events. So I've never done a high touch event, and after hearing their experience and their recommendations, I probably won't ever, unless it's already included in the price, which this one, the high touch event for KARD, that was included, which is nice. You're not always going to get that, especially when the band's bigger. It's just, you're going to have to pay extra for that. But because KARD is smaller, still in stateside, and also because this is their first tour and it's smaller venues, and they don't have as big production, it was included in the regular standing general admission ticket, so that was nice. But I did splurge 30 extra bucks so I can get the photo, which is worth it. So I think, like I'm trying to say, is you got to pick your battles. You got to really leverage it and weigh the pros and cons. Like, for me, if the photo event was more, if it was like 200-300, I wouldn't have done it, and I would have stuck with the high touch event, which would have been more than enough. But because they were a smaller band and this is their early stages of their career, you're able to get more for less. But the moment they get big, it's just not worth it to me, I don't think, unless it's already included in the price, which it usually isn't. So now that I have that experience, I'm definitely going to take that going forward, and we shall see. But I think that'll dictate a lot, especially like where the group has progressed so far will really determine how much I'm willing to spend on it. Because, I mean, let's be honest, if I lived in South Korea and I had access to this all the time, it wouldn't be a big deal to me. But because we're international fans, and stateside concert venues, productions, everything, tours are just so much pricier because they're coming from out of the country, it's cost the fans that are going to go see them in their area outside of Korea, it's just going to cost them a lot more. And you really gotta, I mean, I know it's tempting to spend a lot because you're probably never going to see them again. It's going to be really hard unless you just go over there, which sometimes it's you're better off just going to Korea and like seeing a bunch of concerts, like just concert hopping and like staying there for 2 weeks, and you'll get like your money's worth, because some of these tickets, like, I will explain more about it in the Big Bang Concert Chronicles that we went to, and that one is going to be way longer than this one because that was iconic. There was more to talk about, and I think I have more footage, and also because I mean, they're a big group, and I'll talk more about the price points of that, but I would have never been able to see Big Bang, or I would have never been able to do any of their events. But I'm so glad we went to that one because that was the last concert they did as a group before all the scandals, before shit hit the fan. Um, and as they were still like one solid group, like no members have left. So yeah, I think it's up to you, like obviously, but I get the appeal and the draw. Like, you want to see these groups before, knock on wood, they like break up, before members start to move away, leave, or I don't know, something fucks them up, like a scandal, and then they have to like revamp the group or something, or they just never come back to the States, or they never visit your country or neck of the woods, because I mean, unless a group's huge, they're just not going to, and even if they are huge, they're not going to be able to go to every country and every city. So unless you live near a larger city, which in my case we're pretty lucky because we are not near a big city. So we are not a big city. So I think I get the appeal and I get the draw, but just don't drop a grand, like $1,000 for a K-pop group, because it's never gonna be worth the 1,000. Like, if you're gonna spend 1,000 on a concert and the events that are tied to it, the upgrades or the VIP packages, you're better off buying a ticket to Korea and just going ham and doing all of those impromptu, like following their schedules and doing their impromptu concerts, their like guerrilla style concerts. You're better off doing that. You're gonna get your money's worth. You're gonna able to experience Korea like you probably want to, with all the food and all the culture and the language and everything, that the great stuff that comes with it, and then also experience the concert. And they have way better attractions than anything that they will offer in like international tours. So that is my humble opinion. That is my tips and tricks, and also those are like my hacks, and those are just my advice from a humble OG K-pop fan to you, and to newer K-pop fan individuals. It's just, you are gonna spend your money however you're gonna spend it, I know, but I just want it to be worth it for you, and I want it to go longer. And I wasted so much money in the beginning. I was just like, oh my god, they're never gonna come again. I'm never gonna be able to see them again. I'm never going to Korea, which was false. I went to Korea, not for as long, but that's because it was like a detour stop, which we'll do that in another video. But yeah, I didn't go there. I was like in Korea for 4 days, but that was just serendipitous, and it was planned, but it was planned super last minute because it so happened to be we were gonna pass through that area anyways. So never say never. You probably will end up going to Korea at some point. It's so much easier now. The tickets are more affordable now. There's always some random opportunities, but still, like, don't just jump on the first opportunity, because there will be plenty. And now more than ever, it's easier for bands to come over, and there's more incentive, and it's more open after BTS, opened the path for K-pop bands to have more recognition and not just be a niche genre for a niche group, for a niche concentrated fandom that's very small. So there's that is my advice to everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I really hope you watch it and share it and forward it and whatever, because this took so long to edit. And I tried so hard to cut out stuff, but I also wanted to keep everything important. And I mean, that's the luxury that I have control over this, is that I can have an hour concert experience. And I hope you liked the fact that I included everything of the experience. I included all the concert footage that I had of all the songs that I could record. But I also hope you like the fact that I did cut out like crazy things. I kept what I could stabilize really well, and also I shortened it and kept the highlights, and I just hope you like the titled so you can see exactly what you're watching. I kind of wish people have on their fandom or fan cam accounts, because it's harder to like sift through, especially if you're looking for like a specific song. So I tried to title everything, and when I pinned stuff and timestamp things, it made sense to put stuff together. Anyways, leave me feedback, leave me your comments, and what you think and your feedback and your reaction to things, to the whole video, and share if you have any crazy concert experiences, K-pop or otherwise.
Trying too much, got the sickness. Pray to God and His Son for forgiveness.